Jesus said to the 12, to his disciples, "Whoever welcomes you, welcomes me. Whoever welcomes me, welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And whoever welcomes a righteous person in the name of a righteous person will receive the reward of the righteous. Whoever gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, truly I tell you, none of these will lose their reward." The Gospel of our Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Please be seated. In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. So we're just wrapping up a season that is being celebrated out in the world. For WSU, it happened about a month ago, but for Pullman High School and for some of the other high schools in the area, it's all happened very, very recently. This is the season of graduation. How many people here have ever been to a graduation? Della, you've been to a graduation. Yeah, okay, good, there you go. How many of you have listened to graduation speeches? How many of you remember what was said in a graduation speech?
Yeah.
You do? What's that? A couple of them. The problem that I have with most graduation speeches is that they are so doggone big. Not long, but sometimes they're long too. But big. They're big like, "I see you, class of 2017. And now, class of 2017, I want you to go out and I want you to change the world. It's all in your hands right now. It's all within your capability to make this world into the place that we were never able to make it. Even though we were given that graduation speech 30 or 40 years ago. It's so big. There is one graduation speech that I think it was either Anna or Kirsten's graduation, and I absolutely loved it. It's one that I remember because the speech itself was short, which was blessed. But the piece that I liked is that it was simply a word of advice on how to approach life. It wasn't, "Okay, here's your chance to go out and check." Instead, he stood up there and he said, "You know, you guys and gals, when you go out into the world, I want you to hold on to your life like you would hold on to a wet bar of soap." It's kind of like children's sermons when they work. That sometimes the imagery is actually better than the speech itself because it was so incredibly wise. You see, hold on to that bar, hold on to your life, like you're holding on to a bar of wet soap. I love that because if you try to hold on too tightly, what happens? Luckily, it's usually in the privacy of your shower, but you're chasing that bar of soap all over the shower. And if you hold on to it too tightly, the whole thing turns to mush. Hold on to it lightly. Balance it. That was sweet because of the simplicity of the whole thing. Sometimes we do the same thing. As I was talking to the kids, sometimes we try to make Christianity into something that is really complicated and difficult and big. Go out and change the world. And it's really interesting to me that you will be hard-pressed to find a place where Jesus actually says, "Go out and change the world." He'll say, "Go out into the world, do a lot of things." Because you see, God, and we keep wondering, God has all these expectations for us. And what we tend to do is we tend to heap those expectations on ourselves, and then pretty soon we think to ourselves, well, it's impossible, and so then we just give up. What's the point? Why even try? Jesus has been nailing us over this last few weeks. If you remember the lessons that we've had from last Sunday, the Sunday before, Jesus talking about how difficult it is to be a disciple. No one can be my disciple if they love anything more than me, said Jesus. Wow. Oh, that's tough. He's been nailing us. And I remember last year at the Lentil Festival, how many of you know these t-shirts that we have? You see, this is one of the things where it's not bad for us to be trying to get the word out, because it's the 500th anniversary this year, right, of Martin Luther. And so we have wonderful t-shirts. Are you going to miss this t-shirt? I mean, anybody wearing this is going to stand out. But on the front, it says, what?
Nailed it.
Nailed it. The problem is, and this isn't always bad because it allows us to explain, but not everybody, people were looking at the fronts of our t-shirts and they were wondering, who was this? One person came up to me and said, is that Michelangelo? But the funniest one, well, kind of funny, is this person came walking up to me and they looked at the t-shirt and they went, ooh. And I said, well, why do you say, ooh? And she said, ooh, you have a picture of Jesus. And then nailed it. Ooh! And I said, well, okay. Let me talk to you about the song of my people. Let me talk to you about Martin Luther. But you see, it's so funny, but it did open up the door. And the best part of the whole thing was we finally came to a truly Christian moment, because as I was trying to tell her about Martin Luther and what it was all about, I finally just said, you know what, come have a glass of cold water. Because that's what we're doing in the Lentil Festival. We're just handing out glasses of cold water. Sometimes, in the midst of trying to be good and faithful people, in the midst of trying to be good Christians, sometimes we make it too hard. What happens? We try to solve the big problems. I remember back in Grace, back in Bellevue, and our prayer study and our Bible study group was trying to figure out, because Bellevue it's an issue that they deal with more than we deal with over here, of homeless people who are at the street corners and who have the signs and they're asking for, please help me. And the people in the Bible study group were really trying to figure out, how can we best help people when we're confronted with that, because it happens all the time. And they were really taking it seriously. And a lot of times they were talking about things like, can we go to the city council and try to deal with issues of poverty? And it's not so good necessarily to give money. But then somebody came up, one person said, I know, let's carry cans of food, which was a good step. But imagine carrying cans of food in your car. And the practicality of, you see a homeless person on the corner and you're trying to drive your car, and you're reaching down by your feet where the cans of food are, but then you have this other issue, because when you hand the person a can of food, what if they don't have a can opener? And you see, we make things so complicated. They came up with a beautiful, I think an absolutely beautiful solution. They said, let's just get gift certificates to McDonald's or Burger King or whatever your favorite place is. Gift certificates easy to tuck up behind your dashboard. Gift certificates easy to hand to a person. And it's responding to to their need. You see, the interesting thing that Jesus says is that it's really not about solving the world's big problems. But what it's about is simply reaching out. Notice this was all about hospitality. It's all about getting outside of our own righteousness, getting outside of our own holiness, getting outside about worrying whether we're going to get to heaven or not, and actually opening up our eyes and starting to see those around us and responding with care to their needs. Not solving their problems, but just simply reaching out and responding to a need. It doesn't have to be big. And Jesus told us, when you do this, even for the least of these, a beautiful Greek, there has to be Andrea, right? Where's Andrea? There has to be a Greek word in here somewhere. Yeah, she's been part of our family forever. There has to be, but the word that Jesus uses is so sweet. Because he said, whenever you do this for the micron. See, I got in trouble a couple weeks ago, Brian, for asking you some physics questions, but this one's about measurement. Okay? So you have a kilometer. And how big is a kilometer? It's a kilometer. See, that's the problem we had. We tried to convert about 30 years ago. What a stupid thing. Just change the signs. Oh, but a meter is 3.165. Oh, just stop. Just change the signs. So you have the measurement of a kilometer. Then you have a meter. It's kind of like a cubit, right? A cubit in biblical times was the length from the Pharaoh's nose to his thumb. Which meant that if you got a short Pharaoh, you had a short cubit. So you have a meter. Then you have a centimeter, which is 1/100th of a meter, or get it small. Then you have a millimeter, which is 1,000th of a meter. And then, what's the next measurement? A micron. Oh! Isn't Jesus smart? See this hair, which I gladly sacrificed for y'all? That hair is 50 microns across. And what's Jesus telling us? Oh, you guys, it's so simple. The smallest of these, if you just stop trying to think of things as being big, and if you just start caring for the smallest of these things. Where's the hand? Oh. Hi. I know. We met earlier.
It's just the first one.
Have you ever seen a better living example of a micron? Just don't pee. It's not hard, folks, to be a Christian. It just means we have to care for the smallest, for the weakest,